Hi, Jada. I think this looks pretty good. Can tell that you've done, let's see, oops. I can tell that you've done some manipulations here. Maybe you're using some kind of sketching tool. Maybe you're trying to edit the shape, or maybe you made this from scratch. I'm not sure. But it sounded like you were having issues with the image trace not showing up like it did on my computer. I'm not quite sure why that would be without looking at your screen. If you go to Window, Image Trace, this will bring up the Image Trace panel, obviously. It could be that your image that you're using is maybe too low resolution. If it's a low resolution image, then it won't show up quite so well. I'm trying to think of what could be happening as why your shaping would be weird. It could be that it's a low resolution image. Make sure any image that you image trace is a decent sized image, not blurry. Because if it's at all blurry, then Illustrator won't do a very good job of tracing it. As far as your font pair, I'm having a hard time seeing it because you didn't outline your fonts, and when you don't outline your fonts, I can be missing fonts. I think you outlined your Black Cat font, but not the Designs font. So I can't really view your font pair either, which is kind of a bummer, because I know you have questions about that. But this is actually looking really quite advanced for a beginning student, so I think you've really done well with this. I wonder if we could use the smooth tool on this, just to smooth. We need to actually have it selected to make the smooth tool work. I'm not sure if it will work on this because we have so many different shapes. If we want to bring all this together, you know, we can open up the layers. We want to bring these shapes together. Maybe we could just, I'm not quite sure how you did this. I think this is, I don't know if it's, not quite sure how this is done. It looks like you drew in here, kind of. I can't see. Even when I open up your layers, I can't tell. I mean, I was thinking maybe you could do like, okay, one way around this with this Black Cat shape, if you really want to get it totally dialed in, we could do a file export as, and we'll just export out a JPEG to our desktop. We'll use artboards. Doesn't matter what it's named, just put it on your desktop. We definitely want to make sure though when we export this that this is in high resolution. CMYK color mode, sure. Push OK. So really the main thing is high resolution. And then go off into the gray over here, do a file place. We're going to bring that in, that JPEG, that high resolution JPEG. Click and drag it in, and then let's do an image trace on this. So, you know, there's an image trace button here, there's an image trace button here. If you go to Window, Image Trace, here's the image trace panel. If we go to preview, we can kind of preview what it's going to look like once it image traces. That actually looks pretty good. It actually, if you want to make it more detailed, you can put it on like color, and put it, you know, it's on 30 colors right now on this, you know, on this scale. It'll obviously still make it black and white because it's a black and white image, but let's just, you can also mess with some of these sliders under here if you want to. A lot of times I don't. So uncheck preview, do trace, and then push expand in the properties panel. And then we'll click with the white arrow tool on the white background that was brought in and just push delete on those. And then we just really want this Black Cat. He's a little bit more simplified, but if we want to smooth him out and even more, we can. You know, maybe there's certain things about him, like his tail right here isn't quite smooth. I just didn't know how to do that with the current way that you drew the cat, because it looks like you added to the cat, and I'm not quite sure what tool you used. So we can delete, you know, these things. And then you could, you know, bring this over. This L looks a little goofy to me, but we can fix it with the smooth tool. We just have to select the shape and then smooth it out with just clicking and dragging it. Obviously this designs is not correct, but we can ungroup things and then I'm going to click and drag over just the designs, and then, oops, then we can click over it again, like drag over it, get it all selected, and group it back together so that when we want to move it, it's all one chunk. And then you can kind of maybe just work on the cat shape that way, because at least now the cat shape is one solid chunk, and it's much cleaner, which is something I'm wanting you to have in your logos. And if you want to move around specific anchor points, you can push Shift on your keyboard, and if you want to adjust the shape of this ear, you can click and Shift and click on the anchor points. We might need to zoom in a little bit more. Shift and click. And once they turn white, they usually can be clicked and dragged around. So, if you want to change the shape of the ears at all, and you can move the handles around too. And obviously, like the smooth tool will help you kind of smooth out some of the shapes, get it nice and perfect. So yeah, that might be something that you should probably do. When I did it, it did kind of screw up a few of the letter forms, but like I said, if you just use the smooth tool and just kind of drag over it, and you can use the white arrow tool, push Shift and click it to open it up, and then we can kind of change, if you need to change some of the shapes of things. It helps to zoom way in too, but and you can move these handles around, so just to kind of fix things. We could also, if we like this A better than this A, we can just copy paste it and bring it over there, so that the A's are more consistent, because this A looks different than that A now. But yeah, with the designs, I can't see your text because it wasn't outlined, but let me just find something that might work with, you want controlled yet fun. Okay. Oops. So with this one, since this is all lowercase, maybe something all uppercase. Was it designs? I think it was. So let's make it bigger so that it kind of fills up nicely. Let's center it. Let's make the tracking. And maybe let's make it like still this type of font where it's sans serif. But maybe, actually that one's not too bad, but maybe something a little thinner. So kind of a modern font, but maybe something that comes in like a thinner typeface, which this one does. I don't want italic though. Maybe something like that. And then we can do the tracking on it. Of course, we don't want it too thin because then it won't, the letter forms won't show up very well. But, maybe something like that. And I would definitely line up the B with the D here and the T with the S. And this might be too thin, but we can double click and get it highlighted, and we can add a little stroke to this of black, maybe 0.5. So this is myriad variable concept. I don't know if you have this on yours, but if you just find a sans serif and do all uppercase, that font pair might look nice together, and it still looks pretty professional. And it's still fun. This isn't fun, I guess, but the rest of the logo is. One thing you could try doing, and I don't know if this is necessary or not, but you could use a rectangle, like a black rectangle, and draw that out, and then put it underneath, so you can do arrange, send to back, and then make this text, maybe just change this to white, and see if you like that. I don't know. That might be nice just to add a little boldness. You could also possibly use a rounded rectangle form instead. If you click and hold down, you can get the rounded. But I can still change this one to a rounded if I just grab these and pull them in. And they all change at the same time. So maybe something like that would be good for your design. Anyway, I think the rounded does look better because the cat is so rounded and this font is so rounded. I think it looks better. And I do like it having the black on the bottom too, just because it creates a little more weight on the bottom and just makes it a little bolder. So something like that would probably be successful for your logo design. Hopefully that's helpful. Thanks. Bye.